Welcome to the Exposure Magazine podcast from the heart of the British nuclear test survivor community.
A hand up when you need it most. Hello, and welcome to the podcast from Exposure Magazine, where we shine a light on the stories that matter. I'm your host, and today's episode is something quite different and deeply important. This isn't just another story we're covering. This is a message we need to deliver directly to you or someone you love. If you're a veteran of Britain's nuclear testing programme, or if you're part of a family affected by that service, then this episode is for you. Between 1952 and 1991, over 22,000 British servicemen and women were sent to remote corners of the world, places like Christmas Island, Maralinga and Montebello, to participate in the UK's nuclear weapons testing programme. They were young, they were proud to serve, and they did what their country asked of them, often without being told the full story of what they were being exposed to. Decades later, we know more. We know about the health impacts, the generational effects, and the struggles that have followed so many of these veterans and their families through the years. And now, finally, there's meaningful support available, practical, dignified, and designed specifically for you. Today, we're going to tell you about the Nuclear Community Charity Fund and its Care, Wellbeing, and Inclusion Fund. But first, let's remember why this matters. The service. Picture this. You're 18, maybe 19 years old. You've signed up to serve your country. You're posted somewhere you've barely heard of, an island in the Pacific, a stretch of Australian desert. The sun is scorching, the work is hard, but you do it. You're told to wear a uniform, stand at a certain distance, maybe turn away or put on protective goggles, and then the sky lights up. You've just witnessed a nuclear detonation. For some of you listening, this isn't a story, it's a memory. For others, it's your father's memory, your grandfather's. Perhaps it's something you grew up hearing whispers about, fragments of stories that were never quite explained. Let me read you something from this edition of Exposure that captures this experience. This is from Doug Sewell, who served as a teenage Met Office observer on Christmas Island between 1958 and 1959. Doug describes his duties, hourly weather observations, launching radio sondes into the upper atmosphere, and dealing with giant crabs that wandered through the tents at night. But then, he describes test days. 20 seconds after detonation, he had to launch a weather balloon. 20 seconds, not a moment sooner, because the bomb's heat would burst it and the blast wave would make a launch impossible. After his tour, no medical debriefing, no health check. Just rumours that many radiation-detecting film badges had mysteriously gone missing or been destroyed. Years later, Doug and his wife discovered he was infertile. That question has hung over his life ever since. Now, at 85, Doug reflects on his struggle just to get his service officially recognised with a Nuclear Test Veterans Medal. He remembers the many comrades who didn't live as long as he has. Doug's story isn't unique, it's one of thousands. And for too long, these veterans and their families have faced their challenges largely alone. But here's what I want you to understand. That's changing. For decades, nuclear test veterans fought for recognition. Recognition that what they experienced was real. Recognition that their health struggles and those of their children and grandchildren weren't coincidental. Recognition that they deserved more than a pat on the back and a thank you for your service. That recognition has been slow in coming. Painfully slow, but it has come. The Nuclear Community Charity Fund, the NCCF, was established specifically to support Britain's nuclear survivor community, not as an afterthought, not as a general veterans charity with a side interest. This fund exists for one reason, to help you. Let me be absolutely clear about who this includes. Veterans of the British nuclear testing programme. If you were there, you qualify. Full stop. Families of veterans, spouses, partners, sons, daughters, grandchildren. If your life has been affected by your family's service, this fund is for you too. Anyone who encountered radiological exposure in service to the nation and their families. The definition is deliberately comprehensive. This isn't charity in the traditional sense. This is recognition of what you've given. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. I've heard this before. Big promises, complicated forms, and then nothing. Or maybe, I don't want to be treated like I'm begging. I understand that. Your generation was taught self-reliance, dignity, and independence. Asking for help doesn't come naturally. But here's the thing. This isn't asking for help. This is accepting what you've earned, what the fund actually does. Let's get practical. What can the Care, Wellbeing and Inclusion Fund actually help with? Life throws challenges at all of us, particularly as we get older, or as families face unexpected difficulties. The fund understands this. They can help with real, tangible things that make a genuine difference to your daily life. Mobility and independence. Need a stair lift so you can stay upstairs in your own home? A mobility scooter so you can get out and about? The fund can cover that. Home adaptations. You may need a walk-in shower, grab rails, an internal lift or a ramp. Modifications that let you stay in the place you've called home for years. The fund helps with that too. Respite care. If you're caring for a partner or if you need a break yourself, respite care can be life-changing. The fund recognizes that. Other specific needs. Everyone's situation is different. If there's something that would genuinely improve your quality of life, tell them. They listen. Now, here's how it actually works. And this is important because it's simple. Step 1. You tell them what you need. Pick up the phone, send an email, have a conversation. Explain your situation in your own words. Step 2. Complete a straightforward application form. No reams of paperwork, no bureaucratic maze. A simple form so they can understand what would help most. Step 3. They sort it out directly. This is the bit that really matters. Once your application is approved, they organize the goods and services, paying the suppliers directly. You don't need to find the money for this either upfront or on completion. You don't need to handle invoices, chase payments, or deal with any administrative hassle. They take care of it. Everything is handled with respect and confidentiality. You're not a case number. You're not a box to be ticked. You're someone who served, and you deserve to be treated with the dignity that service earned. Non-duplication and the 18-month rules. There are 2 things I need to mention, because transparency matters. Normally, there's an 18-month gap between grants. That's to ensure the fund can help as many people as possible over time. But, and this is crucial, life doesn't follow a schedule. You might have received help with a stair lift a year ago, and now you've had a fall and suddenly need short-term home care support. Or maybe your health has taken an unexpected turn. Or there's been a family crisis. The NCCF understands this. If your circumstances change suddenly and urgently, they can waive the 18-month rule. They're practical people. They understand real life, and they're here to help when you need it most, not when a calendar says it's convenient. The other condition is that the grant cannot duplicate a provision already available from the state. However, they do look carefully at impacting factors like age, well-being, and waiting times. And if the state provision is found severely lacking, they may make a grant. Beyond the primary condition that a grant cannot replicate existing state provisions, a more nuanced assessment is undertaken. Grant-making bodies meticulously evaluate various impacting factors, including the applicant's age, overall well-being, and the duration of waiting times for state-provided services. This careful consideration allows for the possibility of a grant being awarded even when a state provision exists, particularly if that provision is deemed to be severely lacking in its ability to meet the applicant's specific needs. The assessment aims to bridge gaps in public services, ensuring that individuals are not left without adequate support due to the shortcomings of available state aid. Why you should reach out. Let me speak directly to you for a moment. If you're a veteran listening to this, you've spent your life putting others first. You served when called. You provided for your family. You soldiered on when things got tough, because that's what you did. But there comes a time when accepting support isn't weakness, it's wisdom. You've earned this. Not through luck, not through entitlement, but through service. Service that put you in harm's way in ways you weren't even told about at the time. Service that may have affected your health, your family's health, and your children's futures. If you're a family member listening, perhaps you've watched a parent or grandparent struggle. Maybe you've struggled yourself with health issues that doctors can't quite explain, but that run through your family tree like an invisible thread back to those test sites. You deserve support too. There's no shame in reaching out. None. In fact, by reaching out, you're doing something important. You're affirming that what you went through mattered, that your service wasn't forgotten, that the nation you served still has a duty to you. And practically speaking, why struggle alone when help is available? If a stair lift means you can stay in your home for another decade, that's priceless. If respite care means your spouse can have a proper rest, that strengthens your partnership. These aren't luxuries. They're practical solutions to real challenges, and they're yours to access. How to get in touch. So here's what you do next. For a confidential chat about how the Nuclear Community Charity Fund might help you or your family, you have two options. Visit their website, thenccf.org. There you'll find more information about the fund, the application process, and what they can help with. You can also contact them directly through the site. Or telephone them. Have a conversation. Ask questions. Explain your situation. There's no pressure, no obligation. Just people who understand what you've been through and want to help. The Nuclear Community Charity Fund is an independent charity established specifically to support the British nuclear survivor community. That's their purpose. That's their mission. You are their mission. Don't wait for the right time. If something's been worrying you for months, or if a sudden need has just come up, reach out now. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and neither is the perfect moment. You looked after the nation. Let them look after you. Before we close, I want to share one more brief story, a counterpoint to Doug Sewell's account. This is from Chaz Hall, who flew to Christmas Island in 1961 aboard a temperamental RAF Hastings aircraft known as the Hasty Bird. After multiple aborted takeoffs and mechanical failures, Chaz endured severe turbulence, clinging desperately to a toilet door handle while the plane dropped repeatedly, watched by amused crew members floating on airbeds. His friend Taff greeted him with typical Welsh wit. "Taken to hanging onto the shithouse door for a bit of fun now, have we?" Chaz concluded his account with a line that stayed with me. They would soon be reunited in the shadow of the hydrogen bomb. That phrase, "in the shadow of the hydrogen bomb," captures something essential. These veterans have lived their entire adult lives in that shadow, not metaphorically, but literally. They were there. They witnessed forces that could end the world. And they carried that experience home with them. The shadow is long. It has stretched across decades, across generations, across families. But it doesn't have to define the rest of the story. Support is available, recognition is real, and you, all of you, deserve both. This has been a podcast interpretation of an Exposure magazine article. If today's episode resonates with you or someone you love, please share it. Send it to a fellow veteran, a family member, or a friend who might benefit. The more people who know this support exists, the more lives can be improved. For more information, visit thenccf.org or contact the Nuclear Community Charity Fund directly. Thank you for your service. Thank you for listening. And please reach out. You've earned it.
Thank you for joining us today as we bring Exposure magazine to life. Like, subscribe and share for more great podcasts.